Hey, I have a second channel. Cube Comp MTDX.
Hey everybody, here we have two power supplies that I picked up on eBay. These are units that do not work. The Bestec unit here on the right, this is a Bestec ATX-300-12Z power supply. I've seen the listing for it on eBay up for several weeks, and I decided, you know what, I figured I'm just going to grab it and let's see if we can fix it. And also the same seller had this Delta power supply on the left here. This is a Delta DPS-300AB-24B. So this one here has some bad caps. Likely just a recap is what we'll need to fix this one. The Bestec has some other issues. So that being said, let's go ahead and have a look at the power supply. This video is going to be about the Bestec. Okay, so this Bestec unit, the eBay listing said that the unit did not work and bad caps were noticed. Well, I'm going to be honest with you guys, from a visual inspection, all the caps look fine. There's actually something else going on with this unit. It's kind of, I'd say it's two problems. Number one, this is one of the units with the tan glue that's gone rogue. It's gotten dark and it's gotten corrosive in some areas. But it seems like this power supply has been exposed to moisture. I mean, the smell, it just reminds me of, like, let's say, so, yeah, look at this thing. You look at the corners of where the case meets up with the PCB, there's a little bit of rust there. And this is the case on 3 of the 4 standoffs for the PCB. And the glue in this unit, all the glue has definitely darkened. The fan works. I mean, at least the fan is not seized. So, assuming the fan was getting power, the fan was likely working. But I mean, the glue in this thing, there's definitely some spots where the glue has gotten dark and it's just, it looks pretty rough in some spots. So we're definitely going to get the glue out, at least from what I can see. I don't see any blowouts on the top half, on the top side of the PCB. So the area where the 312Es like to fail due to the glue is right next to the 5-volt standby transformer. And this resistor right here is it's gnarly looking, guys. It's definitely got some corrosion on it. We'll definitely want to clean that up. We may have to replace the resistor. Who knows? So let's go ahead and take this circuit board out. That way I can have a look at the bottom side, because I'm concerned there might be a blowout on the bottom side. Now, before I do anything else, let me get my multimeter and let's check for continuity on the fuse. I think if I just let's see here. Don't know if we'll get anything if we try to plug, because there's actually a cap on the plug, but let's just see. Alright, let me check the fuse. Fuse is good. So the fuse is not blown. I don't know if the eBay seller actually did try to plug this in. If they did, it probably would have caused damage at this point. I have not tried either of these power supplies. So let's go ahead and take this PCB out of here. Okay, let's see what we have here on the bottom of this PCB. Okay, I don't see any I don't see anything of serious concern under here. Nothing burnt, or anything like that. To be honest, I was kind of expecting the bottom of this PCB was going to actually look pretty bad, but that's not really the case here. It actually looks okay. So what I'm going to do is, first we definitely need to address the glue. So there's two things. We got to address the glue, and we got to address this corrosion I'm seeing in this unit. Get that cleaned up really good, and then we'll go from there. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to probably take out both the transformers in this unit to get easier access in between the heat sinks. That way I can clean up everything in here. It ain't going to be perfect, but it's going to be a lot better than it was for sure. So that being said, go ahead and heat up the soldering iron and let's get those transformers out. So before I actually start the soldering iron, I'm going to go ahead and see if I can get some of this glue out of here. Just try to break everything loose, and I guess the good thing is when that glue gets dark, it gets really flaky. So it tends to just flake right off of everything. Looks like even the coil has some on it that's gotten hot. I'm going to be really careful trying to clean the coil up though, because don't want to scrape the varnish off of the windings. Though I just might have a coil from another Bestec unit that might fit right on this thing. Because I think I did save some coils off some old Bestec ATX-300-12Z units that I scrapped years ago. Okay, so I was able to get both the transformers out. There's the main transformer. Here is the auxiliary transformer. This is the one that is responsible for 5-volt standby, and you can see this glue is just flaking off. Now you can probably get a better idea of what's going on in here. You can look at the, like for example, the legs on the secondary rectifiers. You can see they're dirty, and you can see, like for example, we got a jumper wire right there. It's got a good bit of buildup of oxidation or corrosion on it. You look at this resistor right there. You can see how the leg on it's looking pretty rough. And that one right there to the right of it also looks rough too. I think these items will be fine once we get them cleaned up, but that's going to be part of the challenge of getting all this mess cleaned up. And I am a little concerned about this coil. Maybe it's going to be okay. Thing is, to get the glue off, you'd have to scratch at it, and you just don't want to be scratching at it too hard. But, what it is there was a piece of plastic that was, I think it was right there. Somehow it gotten loose. Yeah, it come loose. As you can see, there's a small gap between the bolt on that, or the screw on that rectifier, and this coil. So you can just see how it's just, yeah. So yeah, you can see, for example, it's just nasty. The only thing I don't like about the 12Z, the 300-12Z, I mean, the big heat sinks are nice. It's nice that it has these big heat sinks, but makes accessing things kind of a little bit of a challenge. So I'm not gonna get the best video footage of cleaning this thing up, but see what we can do. I mean, right there next to this diode, I mean, it's just gnarly looking. Trying to carefully bend some things over to get access without breaking the components. You can just hear it. You can just hear the stuff. And to be honest, guys, I'm really surprised that none of the capacitors in this unit are bulged. So, I mean, I'm just wondering if maybe there's a short circuit on the secondary or something. I mean, there's bound to be a reason why this thing didn't turn on. I mean, it's looking rough, I'll say that, but I don't see any actual, I don't really see any areas where there was like a big kabang. This one, if we want to call it that. But yeah, guys, that glue, this is the worst unit I've ever seen for the glue. I mean, I have 2 other videos where I've scraped glue off of components that were getting ready to short circuit, but this one here is just, I think the fact that this thing must have been exposed to a little bit of humidity only accelerated its demise. Yeah. So that being said, I'm going to try to get this thing cleaned up, and we'll go from there. Okay, everybody, so I'm looking at this thing a little bit further, and there's a coil down the side here. Got a little bit of corrosion on it. Gonna have to change that out. Luckily, I do have some identical parts from other Bestec power supplies. I was looking at this main coil right there. It's got some of that glue on the side of it. Hopefully the coil is not corroded. I don't see any corrosion building up on it. Funny thing to note, the capacitors on the secondary of this unit, of course there's Jamicon caps in there, which is typical for a Bestec. That was one of the brands they use, but there's also a lot of Nichicons in here and an OST. The Nichicons, they're probably okay, but I'm going to pull all the capacitors out of this side over here to get easy access to the PCB. That way I can try to clean up the coils and stuff. This one coil over here, one I'm pointing at, That's going to get changed out. I'm just going to go ahead and change out because it looks pretty gnarly. The dummy load resistors, I have to clean them up. But yeah, guys, this is definitely the worst unit for the death glue I've ever seen. So, that being said, I'm going to fire up the soldering iron and pull these caps out. Okay, so I got those caps pulled out as well as this coil, and maybe able to see like right up in there, you may be able to see some corrosion, but just have a look at the mess on this thing. The glue just made an absolute freaking mess. And also, the caps that we pulled out, we got a mixture of Jamicon, Capzon, OST, and Nichicon. The Nichicons I put in a separate pile because I think they're still good. I'm going to actually save them. But lo and behold, we actually do have a failed OST capacitor. It's on, I want to say the 5-volt rail. It was on the 5-volt rail. So, we're going to be giving this thing a full, or at least, not a full recap, but replacing the big caps on the secondary as well as the 5-volt standby area. But first I'm going to take an opportunity to get out some Q-tips and some rubbing alcohol and try to give this thing a good cleaning. Okay, everybody, so I have been working on this thing and I've cleaned up a lot of the gunk that was in here, and I've replaced that one coil that had some corrosion on it that was back here in this area. I've also replaced the two chokes that are in the EMI filtering for the AC that comes in. Although I think the ones that were there were okay, I just went and changed them out because they did have some of that glue on them, and I just didn't much like how they were looking, so they got replaced. And I've made an interesting discovery with this unit, guys. I'm not the first one to be repairing this thing. You remember how I said it was kind of interesting, or I think I said something, I made a remark about finding Nichicon capacitors in this thing. I have never seen Nichicon capacitors in a Bestec supply. Well, these Nichicon caps are not the original caps to this unit. So it looks like somebody did a partial recap on this unit. They replaced the caps on the 3.3 volt rail and maybe the 5 volt rail. I'm trying to, yeah, it looks like 3.3 and 5. Because the caps, like these OST caps, the Jamicons, and that Capzon, they're original. For example, the Capzon, I think it was a Capzon, I can't remember for sure. No, it's the OST. The OST capacitors have a date code of 0634. That means 34th week of 2006, which is about the era of this unit. That's when these units were being put into computers. These units, like the 250-12Z, they've been around for quite a few years, but this one here came out later than the 250-12Z. So again, 34th week of 2006. This Nichicon cap, for example, and all four of these caps have the same date code. They have a date code of B1647. Now the letter, I believe, is the factory that these caps were made in. 16 is the year, 47 is the week, so 47th week of 2016. So these caps were manufactured in 2016. Not sure when they were installed in this unit. The thing is, it could have been done recently, for all I know. I mean, it's like my Rubicon caps that I have, that I install in these units. I purchased them back in 2020, and they just might have a date code on them. Yep, 25th week of 2020. So for example, I'll show you a date code on this Rubicon capacitor. So the date code on this one is T2025. So T, I'm guessing, is going to probably be factory. 20 is the year, 25 is the week. So 25th week of 2020. And again, I purchased these capacitors from Mauser in 2020. There should be a, well, there might be a date on this bag. I don't know for sure. But yeah, I purchased the caps in 2020. So there you have it. So this power supply, this is not the first time this power supply has seen the lab bench. And I'm I can't seem to understand why. Well, maybe the unit wasn't quite in such bad condition by the time. I mean, by the time it was last repaired. But I don't know. I really don't know. So that'd be because I know for sure I'm not the only one out there that's repairing these things, replacing caps and stuff like that. I mean, several people do it. And it's really good that these units get repaired instead of trashed. But this one here, definitely spent a lot of time and effort in this one. I still got to put in the replacement caps, but yeah, I'll probably end up sticking these back in since they're from 2016. So they're practically, well, they're not that old. So I'll put these in. I'll probably put in some new Rubicons alongside, or I may just use all new Rubicons, and I don't know for sure. Another interesting to note is I'm looking at this unit, and I can tell, looking at the amount of solder. Well, at least I mean I can see like areas like here. There's more solder, and I think that was where there was a capacitor previously. Yeah, I think so. You know, looking at this, I can kind of tell that some caps have been replaced in this thing. There's no telling what else may have been done with this thing. Because I'm looking at it, I'm seeing bits of flux in various areas. So I don't know the history of this thing. So really, to be honest, we're gonna put it back together. I'm gonna put new caps in it, and we'll see what we get. Back porch test it, and it'll probably be spending a good few minutes out on the back porch. But yeah, We'll have to see if we can rescue this poor thing. Okay, everybody, so I got the replacement capacitors in. I ended up using harvested capacitors in this one, but I'd say they're about all good brands. Mostly Japanese caps like Rubicon and Kimicon. Also, I reinstalled those Nichicon caps since they weren't that old. Got a couple more caps over here. This one over here is brand new, and this one right here was a harvest. But all I gotta do is zip tie this cable back on right here and put the cover on, and man, hope for the best. And when we do that back porch test, will we get fireworks or will we get a working power supply? That's the question. Okay, everybody, it's on the back porch. It's plugged in. Not the power just yet, but a bit nervous for this one. Let's see how it goes. Nothing at all. Yeah, there's definitely more going on with this unit. I'm going to point the flashlight down this time. Alright, the primary does charge up. We're just not getting any 5-volt standby. Again, one more time. The reason why I know the primary charges up on this one is because I do see the lights dim down for a sec. I'm going to give it a few seconds, let those primary caps discharge. We'll see if I get the flash from the lights again. Yep. Okay, so we're not getting 5-volt standby. Not sure what's going on there. Okay, this time I'm going to actually power it on with the door open, see if I hear any noise from it. Don't hear anything. So the thing is with this unit, there could be, it could be a variety of different things going on with it. Could be a shorted diode, could be a bad flyback IC. I do happen to have another 5-volt standby IC for a Bestec unit from this era. It's on a scrapped 300-12Z that I have. But given the overall condition of this power supply, I'm probably just going to scrap it. I mean, I paid $15 for it as well as another $15 for a Delta unit. I mean, for $15, I think it's probably, I say $15 it's worth it in parts. I mean, you got the primary caps, you got the bridge rectifier, you got the fan, you got various things in there. You got the little case you could use to build something with. So, to be honest, though, had I known the condition of this unit, I probably would not have purchased it. But it is what it is. No burning smell or nothing like that. Don't really want to leave it plugged in to see what happens, to be honest with you. But I think that's going to be it for this one. It's kind of unfortunate. So I do want to mention, I do have another ATX-300-12Z that exhibit the exact same symptom, no 5-volt standby. But when I took the circuit board out of its case, it was very blatantly obvious what was going on with it. There was a blown out trace, and I fixed the blown out trace, and the unit now works fine. But this one here is just, I mean, no visible failure. We do know the primary side charges up because I do see a flicker on my lights when this unit gets power. When you first energize the power supply, there is probably a peak draw of, I'm going to say 10 to 15 amps, and we're talking milliseconds. That's why your breaker doesn't trip. It's kind of like turning on a vacuum cleaner or anything like that, how you see the lights dim down, or matter of fact, like when your air conditioning power's on, you see how your lights dim down for like milliseconds. Power supply is a similar thing. The primary caps want to charge up, and of course the inrush NTC is what limits that current, that inrush current, to prevent the fuse inside this from blowing, as well as your circuit breaker from tripping. So I don't know, guys. I may try to look at this thing again at some time in the future. I'm gonna probably end up putting it in storage and just leaving it be for a little bit. But yeah, definitely did put a lot of effort into this one. So it's a good thing I didn't plug it in initially, because I think it probably would have blown up if I plugged it in initially. Now, I will say, I'm going to say this. I think the eBay seller plugged it in. You know, matter of fact, he said that he plugged it in, and the computer did not start, and they said the power supply was the culprit. So apparently it did get power for testing recently, but I don't know. Just don't know. Again, with the unit being in the condition it's in, having a musty smell to it, having a little bit of surface rust on bolts and screws inside of it, it's just like, you know what, I'm gonna probably end up scrapping it. It's definitely got some decent parts in it. So what we should have seen when I plugged this thing in the power, what I should have seen was the 5-volt standby LED briefly come on, go out, and then the power supply start and the LED come back on and to show power good. But that simply did not happen. Again, not really sure what's going on with it. So anyways, hope you enjoyed it for what it's worth. Thanks for watching. Well, everybody, that wraps it up for this video, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like the video, leave a comment, subscribe to Cube channel, and be sure to tick the bell. That way you get notified of new video posts. Also, I recommend following Cube Computer Company on Facebook. A link is in the video description. In addition to computer tech videos, I have a second channel, CubeComp MTDX. Links are available at the end of this video. Again, I hope you enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching and your support.